Hey guys, welcome back to Andy's Dinosaur Reviews, and Creature Preacher strikes again as we have ourselves another vintage movie monster dinosaur. And not only that, this is the first time we've got something that's not exactly like your typical carnivore. We've got ourselves a herbivorous dinosaur, as we have the Triceratops from The Last Dinosaur. And this model is awesome. Again, it's another one of those instances, and this is something that's so common with Creature Preacher. It's a dinosaur that I never in a billion years would have expected to have the pleasure of adding to my collection, but man, I go crazy for this stuff because I love vintage dinosaurs, and I love, even more than vintage dinosaurs, I think, vintage movie monster dinosaurs, especially more obscure ones like the ones that he's been creating, as he now has quite the lengthy list of incredible creatures he's created. Like, we have the Crater Lake Monster, we have the Planet of Dinosaurs T-Rex, we've also got ourselves two different dinosaurs from the land that time forgot. We have the Last Dinosaur T-Rex, and we also, of course, have what we're looking at here, the partner in crime to that Last Dinosaur T-Rex, the Triceratops. And just like with the T-Rex, he has done a phenomenal job on not only sculpting it out to look extremely screen accurate, but he's also captured the exact look and feel of the Triceratops from the film. It's very interesting seeing that Triceratops, especially because I think potentially like two guys in one suit, and there's like that awkward look to the Triceratops, and he has captured even that aspect to the model perfectly. Like, he does his homework when creating these models, because the chances of anybody else creating these are pretty slim, so I love the fact that he goes so in-depth when creating his models to make sure they look, again, as beautiful and as perfect as possible, because we're really only probably going to get one chance at this, so Creature Preacher gives us the best version that he can, and boy, does he ever deliver yet again with this Triceratops. So let's jump to a closer look at it right now. So starting up here at the head sculpt of our Triceratops, you cannot look at that and tell me that it isn't absolutely perfect to the way it looks in The Last Dinosaur. He has captured the overall likeness of that Triceratops so insanely nicely. The Triceratops that is just randomly buried in a mountain for no reason whatsoever in the film. And he, again, has captured all the different wrinkles and everything that you would see in the skin texture of the creature, but also in the suit, again, because it is a man in a suit type film. And you can see that we have a nostril here on this side sculpted out really nicely. We've got the beak for our Triceratops. The beak is painted with a mixture of various light grays, it seems. Again, you can see a darker tone for the lower jaw, lighter tone for the upper part of the beak. You can also see the mouth is sculpted in an open position. The teeth are sculpted on the inside of the mouth, and they're also painted very nicely. We've got a nice dark tone of color for the inside of the mouth, kind of like a dark maroonish type of a color. He's got a beautiful gloss coat included in there as well. You can see the teeth on the lower jaw are also sculpted out. Very, very nice looking as far as the inside of the mouth goes. Everything looks nice and, again, screen accurate, as you would hope to see. You've got the nasal horns sculpted out really nicely, as well as the larger horns up here, and they look great. There's even some color variation to them. As you can see, variation of color as we extend out through the horns. It transitions from like a slightly darker shade of gray to a little bit of a lighter shade, then goes back to a darker shade. You can even see some even darker shades of gray over here. I also noticed that on top of, again, the super nice paintwork that we have, as we have darker grays and blacks and stuff for the face, there's some variations of purples showing up, which is quite surprising, but looks really, really good. One thing Creature Preacher is really good at is giving paint variation to his figures in really realistic ways, and this Triceratops is a picture-perfect example of that. You can see that the eyes are also painted very nicely with a brown eye with a little bit of white there behind it. Really nice gloss coat for the eye as well, again making it shine quite realistically. You can now see the nostril on the opposing side, as well as, again, the really nice looking skin texture to the face. As you lead up here into the frill, you can see the frill is sculpted in perfect fashion. Again, lots of really nice texturing to the skin throughout, kind of more like subtle, smaller scales you can see up here. And again, also one thing to mention is that the horns have a nice gloss coat. Same deal for the beak. That is something that I think I failed to mention before. But really nice, very subtle, again, shading and everything going on up here. As you can see, like lighter grays moving along the outer edge, but darker, like blacks and darker grays within the frill area of the Triceratops. And then moving down here to the underside and the throat, you can see the throat itself is sculpted out nicely. Again, more really nice texturing to the skin there on the underside of the Triceratops. And then as we move back here, you can see again some very rough and rugged, but somewhat fine skin texturing and everything here to the back of the frill. And then as you lead up here, you can see some ridges running along the back of the Triceratops. They start out together, but then they separate and run in 2 rows, kind of surrounding the spinal column. And you can make out the spinal column itself here, moving along the back of the Triceratops. And then again, as you move down here, you can see on top of the nice looking skin texture, again, osteoderms and stuff galore poking up here and there. And I like that you can kind of see almost like saggy parts to the model, because it really replicates, again, that suit type look, as that's how the Triceratops was created in the film. As you move down, you can see that the leg sculpt again looks exactly as it looks in the film. You've got that nice looking foot sculpt there. You can kind of make out the elbow as well. And then again, some more kind of sagginess to what I would say would be the suit of the Triceratops from the film. As we lead up, you can kind of make out the hip bone a little bit right there. Again, the very, very interesting looking leg sculpt, which perfectly replicates the Triceratops from the film, but always looks so weird in the movie because of it being a man in a suit. Very interesting way that they created this Triceratops, and yet again, he's captured so much movement throughout. Nice skin texture, again, nice detailing all over. And then as you move back here, you can lead out into the tail. Again, the very cool looking tail that we have for the Triceratops. You can see how it's kind of thick and also a little wavy, again showing that suit type look. And it's maybe a little hard to pick up on, but the paintwork from Creature Preacher is so good on this Triceratops. There's just so much variation of color as I move through. It's super subtle. It's almost like too hard to really pick up on and like mention all the different areas where it kind of transitions back and forth between lighter and darker shades of grays. He has done a phenomenal job of applying really nice paintwork. You can even see almost like brownish tones, and there's like some bluish tints in certain spots. Just all around incredible paintwork on this Triceratops. And you can see again, for the majority of the figure, you're not really going to see much of a difference over here because it's kind of standing in a bit of a neutral position. Both legs in the front are in the same spot, both legs in the back are kind of in the same spot. So you're not going to see too much difference over here. But what you can see is that it looks absolutely incredible over here, just like it did on the initial side. Really, really beautiful paintwork over here as well. So this undoubtedly is a dream come true for me. Definitely a model that as a child I would have loved to have had. So it is so cool to now as an adult have the opportunity to own the Triceratops from The Last Dinosaur. As far as a size goes, it is quite large. It might actually be the largest model that I've had from Creature Preacher so far. For a length, you were looking at about, I'd say right around 15¼ inches, or around 38.5, closing in on 39 centimeters. And then for a height, about a little over 6.5 inches, maybe approaching 6¾ or around 17 centimeters. Now, again, something important to keep in mind is that Creature Preacher creates these in different size ranges. So that's the size for mine, but when you go on his Etsy shop, make sure you pay attention to the different figures, the different size ranges, and everything that he has available for each model. But for a size comparison, there is Mr. Papo T-Rex, the Attack Pack Colovosaurus, and Robert Muldoon from the Mattel Jurassic World toy line next to our amazing Creature Preacher Last Dinosaur Triceratops. And you can definitely see that it is huge. And Mr. Papo T-Rex is about to take some horns straight through the throat, so maybe not the Triceratops that he should probably try to mess with. But for another comparison, and the comparison that I think is the most important, we've got ourselves the Last Dinosaur T-Rex and the Last Dinosaur Triceratops, both models from Creature Preacher, here next to each other. And man, what a visual, what a sight. That is just like the most fulfilling, awesome thing that I've seen. I've actually had this Triceratops sitting here now for a few days because I just had like so many models to review. I had the Land That Time Forgot models and stuff that I had received right before the Triceratops, so I wanted to get those up and everything before it. So I've had the Triceratops here for a few days now, but I didn't actually have the T-Rex with it. I waited until this review right now, filming this review, to actually look at the two together, and man, is that just the absolute coolest thing to see these two together. When it comes to displaying your Last Dinosaur T-Rex, I feel like this Triceratops is a must-have, and I know quite a few different viewers had shown me images and everything of their Last Dinosaur T-Rex that they purchased, so if you have purchased that T-Rex, make sure you grab the Triceratops as well, because these are perfect for each other and definitely the way to go when displaying your Last Dinosaur figures again together here, kind of dueling. Very, very cool to see these together. And then one final comparison we have, again, just a few randoms here with the Schleichdiabloceratops, the Collectae Dimetrodon, and the Safari LTDU Tyrannus, who is nearly receiving a hug from our Last Dinosaur Triceratops. But just a few random figures that hopefully you have one of to potentially give you an idea of the size. But if you don't, take my word for it, this Triceratops is exceptionally exciting when it comes to the sculpt and paint, but also the size, because it is very, very sizable, extremely impressive in the size department. So this Creature Preacher Last Dinosaur Triceratops is yet another dream come true from Creature Preacher, and man, I am so thankful to have found Creature Preacher and had the pleasure of adding so many of his models into my collection, because he continues to just take my childhood and bring it to life here in model form continuously. And again, he is just getting better and better with every model he releases. Like, I am just always blown away by his work, but I feel like at this point he is just really perfecting his craft and giving us some of the best work that he has done yet. And this Triceratops is absolutely gorgeous. He has done a phenomenal job of sculpting this out, not only to look really nice, really high quality, really highly detailed, but also, again, perfectly sculpted it out to resemble the Triceratops from the film and that man in a suit type look. He has really done a great job of taking that look, that appearance, and giving it to his model, again, in picture-perfect form, exactly as he did with his T-Rex for the Last Dinosaur. He has yet again replicated that look perfectly with the Triceratops, and again, it is just the most incredible companion piece to have with that T-Rex. The sculpt is really nicely detailed, really screen accurate as a whole, and the paintwork is great on this because he's given it, again, that very nice kind of dark and grayish appearance that we see on the Triceratops in the film, but he's also took an opportunity to add some slight color variation with really, really slight areas of like alternate color of like blues showing up so randomly and like purplish tones and potentially even some browns, and then you've got blacks and grays. Like, from afar, it looks like it's just like that dark grayish color like the Triceratops looks in the film, but up close you can really see that he has put a lot of effort into giving it a lot of nice skin tone and a lot of realistic coloration to take this model and add another level of realism and beauty to it with his paintwork. And again, I love the fact that he's included like gloss coats on the horns, the eyes, the inside of the mouth, the beak. Everything in that area looks great. His mindset going into these models is that he wants to create something that he loves because it's something that he grew up loving, and again, we get to benefit from that by acquiring said models that, again, are just total labors of love. And you can see that is exactly the case with this Triceratops. Yet another home run for Creature Preacher. So if you are interested in this, just like with every Creature Preacher release, I will include a link in the description to his Etsy shop where you can pick up this as well as many other amazing models that Creature Preacher has available currently. Again, I just stated quite a few, so he's got a lengthy list, and there's actually other models that he has created that I don't even have, like the X from Outer Space. So just a lot to love on that Etsy shop. Make sure you check out his Etsy shop, grab yourself some Creature Preacher models, follow Creature Preacher on Instagram to keep up to date with everything he is creating, and also like, comment, and subscribe, and I will see you in the next review. Thanks for watching.